So first of all, I just want to say welcome to everybody who's joined in today for this conference. I feel like a lot of people have probably been with us already today, so thank you for sticking with it, and I hope that you've enjoyed every presentation that we've had so far today. If you're just now joining in for the first time, welcome. We have a kind of a set of rules that we like to go through before every presentation, just to kind of remind everybody of, um, you know, being at the mercy of the tech, being respectful, just a couple things we want to run through before we begin. So just a reminder, we are at the mercy of the tech. So if anything happens, if the video or audio app cuts out every once in a while, just bear with us through all of this, and hopefully nothing major happens. We've been pretty lucky so far, so jinx, knock on wood for that one. I'll also just be respectful. I think, being online and not being able to see people face to face and interact face to face sometimes makes it easier to, maybe throw a few jabs or, say a few things that maybe aren't super nice or respectful. So, just be nice. And everyone is giving their time to give these great presentations today. So hopefully we can, lift them up and give them some respect and compliments throughout. Also, definitely use this as a time to network and engage with your peers in the market research community. We're using the hashtag QVIC 2020 on LinkedIn, any other social media platforms you might be on, and use it as a chance to get to know people that you've never met before. I feel like everyone's kind of craving social interaction during this time of distance, so take advantage of that. And if you see anything or hear anything interesting that maybe you don't get a chance to ask in the comments or questions box through the presentation, and you want to reach out to a presenter afterwards, I think that's a great way to do that. And a lot of people provide their contact information at the end of their presentations for you guys to use as well. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce who's speaking today. Sorry about that. So we have Gini Resnick and Kirby Hood from the Sinclair Broadcast Group, and they will be talking about automotive marketing and the impact of COVID-19 on domestic vehicle production and sales. It's a long title there. Sounds very interesting though. So I'm gonna give the floor to them and let them go on with their presentation. So.
Excellent. Awesome.
Hide my screen here.
Make sure you can hear me.
Can hear you. I think Kirby's muted still. There you go. Okay.
He is. Okay. Let me know when I can share my screen and I'll get going.
Second. Okay, you should be able to now.
Okay. There we go. Should be able to see my screen now. Confirm. Okay. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Gini Resnick. I am the Automotive Research Manager for Sinclair Broadcast Group. Thank you for having us today. My partner in crime is Kirby Hood, and she is a data scientist that works with my team. Today, we're going to talk about automotive research for marketing as it relates to the changes that have happened in the wake of COVID-19. Who we are, I'm going to give you a little bit of who we are, who we work for, the impact that we're seeing, the tools we're using to help our dealers, and then how we're helping dealers make better decisions for their marketing using this data. I am, again, Gini Resnick. I've been with Sinclair Broadcast Group since 2001, so I started with the company a month after 9/11. I've been with them for 19 years in August, and I graduated from University of Georgia with a bachelor's in English. I actually have a poetry degree, so it's really ironic that I ended up doing statistical research because I did not like math when I was in school. Kirby, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I actually completed my master's a year ago at Syracuse University in applied data science. I have been with Sinclair going on 6 years, and I actually have more than 10 years in marketing management study. So.
Awesome, thank you. So together, Kirby and I make up what will be the decision science team for the automotive dealers that we work with at Sinclair. For anybody that doesn't know, Sinclair Broadcast Group is one of the largest owned and operated broadcast companies in the United States. We have more than 180 television stations in over 80 markets. We own and operate a variety of different OTT and digital operations, and own and operate a lot of the regional sports networks that will hopefully be starting up with new sports coming this summer. But our goal is to transform typical market research into dealer decision science. And what I mean by that is we utilize the scientific methods that we all learned in school, and sometimes we do it subconsciously, sometimes we do it purposefully, but we use data and scientific methods to identify opportunities and issues that are going to help car dealers make smarter decisions and sell more cars, because ultimately at the end of the day, that's the number one goal that any dealer has, is sell more cars. And we have a lab kit that we use. We have a variety of tools. We work with IHS Polk data. We are a Google Premier partner, so we have a collection of Google tools available to us, as well as a bunch of other paid for subscription data services that we use to collate stories together to help our marketing consultants and sales managers better have better conversations with the dealers in their communities, because the days of a spots and dots advertising kind of approach are over, and now you really need to go at it with a data heavy approach, reading the signals, the numbers in between the lines, in order to be able to craft stories that are relevant and speak to the consumer base. And we start with a question, we do some research. In many cases, Kirby or I will have an odd hypothesis that we want to test out. Kirby goes to work with data science and testing and data experimentation in different ways. And we use our lab kit and all of the data science available to us and tools available to us to analyze advertising, marketing channels, and dealership inventory in order to help dealers design better marketing campaigns, which generate better campaign results, leading to higher quality customer leads and ultimately more sales. So the topic of today's talk, when I pitched it, was very, very heavily involved in studying the impact of COVID-19 on the automotive industry. And so when I saw the seminar coming up, I was like, ooh, that'll be a really fun topic to discuss. So as we've gone through, Kirby and I have done a good bit of research and analysis, not just based on the tools that are available to us, but of our own client base, in order to see what really has happened in the past 12 weeks while the world is upside down and sideways. Because what effectively happened in March, when the country went on lockdown, many states did not consider automotive dealerships to be an essential business, and they closed sales operations down. Service operations were considered essential, but sales operations were not. And considering the amount of impact the automotive sales industry has on the United States revenue and GDP, a projected 27% decline in year-over-year United States auto sales is going to have a major impact in more places than just in automotive. So what we're seeing is that in the past 10 weeks, everything has started over. We pretty much have a brand new automotive landscape. They're projecting sales to be 27% lower this year than last year. Overall, expecting between 12.5 to 14.5 million units to be sold, though there are some bright spots. And many of you probably have noticed that Ford decided to phase out some of their car models, as did Chevy. Other models like CUVs and trucks and SUVs are increasing the number of units being made. So it's not surprising to me to see that truck sales are actually up year to year. But there are also 6 states, actually more than that now, with positive year-over-year growth. So in some cases, we're seeing that sales have not changed, but the automotive landscape in general has. And what that's caused is a new reality. Dealers overnight had to change the way that they do business. They had to change their websites. They had to change the web content. They had to change their Google My Business listings. They had to change their creative marketing. They had to change the way they do business entirely, going from an in-person buying experience to a remote pickup and delivery, 100% online retailing situation. And the switch was literally overnight. Now we have, personally, we have many clients who have made this change, and they were very quick to act, and they were very responsive to the needs of the market, which we're going to talk about a little bit more, why it's so important that you're responsive to the needs. And their sales were not impacted. I mean, they might have seen a 5, 10, 15% dip the first couple weeks after starting this process. But people are excited to be able to buy a car online, and that's forcing dealers to change the way that they do business. Unfortunately, with the ton of people that are now unemployed, the new buyer profile has also changed, which makes it a new demographic, a new marketing model that needs to be applied, because people who weren't laid off become the new prime target for automotive. And they're going to be folks with advanced degrees, they're ex-urban, upper class, families with, or retirees, homes with families, higher income. And Kirby, I want you to talk about belief-driven buyers a little bit.
So as the demographics changed, the mindset of the demographic has also changed. They're really focused on how those brands, not just automotive, but brands in general, are responsive to this pandemic. And they're becoming more driven by how brands take an issue and a stance on the societal issues that we have at play. So that being said, if a brand or a business, mom and pop business, corporate business, they take a different stand than what they would like to see, they're more apt to actually voice their opinions on social media and to others, and they'll actually boycott those brands and choose and make a whole different mindset switch to something else because they may like something, how another brand and company is actually handling it. So we are seeing that more of the buyers and consumers in the marketplace are more belief driven in how they're handling it.
Thank you. Yeah, one of the other things that I failed to include in here, but almost 2/3 of car buyers in the market today are what we consider nomads, meaning they're not brand loyal. There's a small portion of car buyers who are super loyal to their brand, some who are marginally loyal, but the vast majority will change the type of car they buy depending on what types of incentives they can get, what types of deal the dealer has for them, and also how much they like the dealer and how easy it is to work with them, which is creating an entirely new buying cycle. So not only has the industry changed, the consumers have changed, but the length of time that it takes for a customer to buy a car is changing because of the way buying cars has changed. So no longer do people have to go into the dealership, walk the lot, talk to a salesperson, and sit in the F&I department for 3 hours as they fill out paperwork. Today, dealers are meeting the customers where they are at their homes, whether that be through digital retailing or e-commerce platforms that allow a customer to apply for a loan online, get approved online, complete warranty and service package options online, and finalize the sale completely in one website session so that the dealer's only function is to provide them with the car. And that has changed a lot of things in terms of automotive marketing because all of the television commercials, all of the OTT commercials, all of the search ads, all of the marketing on Facebook all said, come see us. And now that's 100% different. You want to tell us a little bit about how car shopping is changing?
Absolutely. So Detroit Trading Company and their team of data scientists actually just came out with this study May 15th. So it's really recently new, but it's very exciting information. And what they did was they measured new car online shopping activities from May 1st, 2020 to May 13th, 2020, and they compared it to pre-COVID shopping activities that occurred from March 1st to March 13th. And what they actually found is that the largest increase in online shopping activities occurred in states where COVID-19 infection cases were the highest. So on this map that we have shown, you can actually see that it's indicated by the dark blue areas, so mainly in the Northeast region of the country. Michigan actually had COVID-19 infection counts approaching 50,000 and saw an increase of new online car shopping activities of 25% above pre-COVID levels. When we talk about online shopping activities and car dealerships, that's anything from vehicle detail page views to leads to like what would my payment be? So calculating a payment. Any of those pages within a dealership that they're very deep dive in and they're really interested in purchasing a car, they're engaging more. Pennsylvania actually had COVID infection counts approaching 60,000 and saw a 45% increase of new car online shopping activities. New Jersey followed right behind them with, they were actually exceeding 140,000 cases and saw an increase of 50% new car online shopping activities. And all that was, of course, against the pre-COVID levels with that March 1st to March 13th timeline. Their main point in this study that they did is they pointed out that it's important to note that the daily COVID-19 infection counts, they continue to decrease in each of the hardest hit states. That's a very positive thing to note. But the decrease in infection counts is just one of the variables that is having a noticeable impact on the behaviors of consumers and their shopping habits. They also looked at the states that people were purchasing a vehicle. We noticed that the dark blue has kind of shifted over to the Midwest region of the country. And they found that even though online shopping activity is rebounding in the upper Midwest and Mid-Atlantic and a little bit in the Northeast, the purchase of a new vehicle still remains below the pre-COVID levels. And that's actually where we see that dark blue indicator. So there's more activity shifting to the Midwest, but they're still not purchasing. Where the purchasing is actually happening is in the Southeast. So that lighter blue area almost to that white. And we see that Florida, Louisiana, and North Carolina are all experiencing 14-day close rates on new vehicle sales. So back to that buying timeline and how people purchased a car previously and took so much longer to research and drive to the lot and visit several dealers, they're now only taking on average 14 days. That's a huge, significant jump from where we were. So the process is happening faster, and that all has to do with the dealer's response. Florida is actually seeing an increase of 0.26% of vehicle purchases for the vehicle purchases above pre-COVID-19. Sorry, I got tongue-tied there for a second. Louisiana follows closely with an increase of 0.27%, and North Carolina with 0.84% above pre-COVID averages for vehicles being purchased. The increase, again, reflects how dealers have pivoted so quickly, and then it's not just the demographic or the consumer that's changing, but the buying process as a whole.
That's awesome. And one of the things I'll note about that is two of the states that are experiencing growth year over year and growth as compared to before the pandemic, Florida and North Carolina are consistently one of the top 10 states in terms of total vehicle volume sales. So to see Florida and North Carolina sales already outpacing prior, when we know that the SAR is projected to go down 27%, is kind of undoing some of the projections we saw early on. So keeping your eye on the latest information, where the cases are dropping, restrictions are easing, businesses are opening, you're seeing a huge resurgence and people are flooding to stores. We have a dealership in Kentucky who reopened their store last week. They have had some of their biggest sales days in the history of the store. And they were very quick to adopt digital retailing and the online shopping experience for their customers.
And of course, this goes back to that whole stay-at-home order and what states were strictly shut down and what states were allowed to open up and car dealerships either deemed necessary or not. There is a correlation that exists between areas where strict shelter-in-place orders were given and decreased consumer purchase activity. So strict stay-at-home order, they're not purchasing, right? Like they're not going out. We can pretty much say, yes, we understand that correlation. But for example, Florida's stay-at-home order, it was given on April 3rd, 2020, and car dealerships were deemed essential. So because they were deemed essential, and car sales and close rates actually remained somewhat consistent. So they actually were showing a 3% increase in their closing rate for sales, pre-COVID-19 to post-COVID-19. And we're also seeing similar correlations again with North Carolina and Louisiana. New Jersey, however, is another story. Their stay-at-home order did not deem that dealerships were essential. Same thing with their sales, and their close rates actually ended up plummeting as a result of this. On March 30th, there was a clarification of the order, and it actually allowed those dealerships in New Jersey to open up for remote or online sales. Because they had that period of time where they were closed, it actually resulted in a 25% decrease in the sales closing rate. And we're also seeing the same thing happen again in Michigan and New York. So it just goes back to this to say, you know, those states that said, okay, dealerships are necessary, we're seeing that steady flatline going on, where they're still selling, they're not really as impacted as maybe they would have been if they would have been shut down fully. So online car shoppers actually are remaining ready to purchase, which is huge. I hear it all the time from my friends. I know personally, I'm constantly like, ooh, what about a new car right now? Because interest rates are low. I must send Ginny several once a week. I was like, ooh, look at this one. And it also goes back to, I'm not necessarily brand loyal. So I am willing to switch depending on maybe what OEMs are saying right now as an incentive. But people are ready to purchase. Closing rates are also approaching near normal levels where dealers are permitted to function fully, which is huge. And the consumers in those areas that the dealers are still not fully functioning, they are finding ways to purchase new vehicles. That's whether or not it's home delivery, they can send in pictures of their vehicles for appraisals. And the dealers have really adopted more digital video marketing strategies and doing whatever it takes to really help consumers purchase that vehicle of their choice. So their hard work and rapid response is paying off with increased online car shopping activity and stabilized closing ratios.
And that's so one of the reasons that the automotive space has been able to weather this storm so well is because built into the foundation of automotive is the mentality first put in place by Henry Ford that, you know, marketing is an essential business item. It's not an expense, it's a business line item. And, you know, he said famously, those who stop marketing to save money are like those who stop the clock to save time. And one thing that I've noticed is that dealers that we work with, you know, some of them cut their budget, sure, in states like Michigan where they were 100% shut down. But in many places where, you know, restrictions were lighter, they did not cut back. And in comparison to those in their market that did, they have had a boomerang effect in terms of market share. And so it's really important. And I found this study absolutely and just thrilling when I read it. I don't know why I found it thrilling. Maybe it's because I've been gardening during quarantine. But Beth Egan, who's an associate professor at Newhouse School, did a study on marketing brand and discovered that your brand has a half-life. And every 2 weeks that you are off air, your brand loses about 50% of awareness. And after a month, your awareness is gone. So I put this up here. The slide, it reminded me of my garden. I'm building a garden, and I'm thinking about, your business brand is very much like your garden. And if you don't water it and provide sunshine to it every day, provide it with resources and marketing and a steady inflow of new customers, what you end up with is, a wilted garden. You have to continue watering it, and cutting budget is like not watering your garden every day, and stopping marketing in a downturn or crisis is like turning the water off in a drought. So it's really, really important that we continue to make an investment in marketing because it relate to where consumers are in the process. They're migrating online, utilizing and expecting advertisers to continue marketing in order to provide them with a sense of normalcy. I read a study that said that 80 some odd percent of consumers expect brands to continue advertising no matter what's going on, just because it makes them feel like things are normal. And one thing that we're seeing as a result of the automotive industry's ability to maintain an on-air online presence during this crisis is that they're rebounding much faster than other industries. Google My Business is one of the top ways that you can identify organic search trends. About 50% of people enter a website through Google My Business versus other sources. And views and clicks for GMB are growing more significantly than any other industry in April. And then people are digging for info. You find that compared to automotives in the red and the other industries are in the green, and there's a huge dip in activity in March when all of this started really coming to light. But you see it's creeping up because people are going to that Google My Business and searching for, dealership hours, dealership service department, photos, incentives, especially with all of the 0% offers and out there right now. It's just a signal that the market's coming back, and it's coming back a lot faster than we anticipated. Additionally, you look at reviews. Reviews are a huge part of SEO and awareness online, and making sure that customers are happy. You get negative reviews, people are very likely to brand switch. And dealer reviews, there were 60% more automotive reviews in May than in April, which means that people are returning to that space of being comfortable and being willing to put themselves out there. And overwhelmingly, people are positive on those reviews, meaning they like the changes that these dealers are making. And as a result, we're seeing new trend lines coming out in terms of expected dealer lead activity. And we're seeing sales rebounding and new trend lines compared to original forecast models on expected sales. And even with the downturn in March, another 7 to 10 million new retail sales will be sold in 2020 and into 2021. So there's a huge opportunity right now for advertisers in the automotive space to capitalize on increased ad inventory due to more people watching television and more people streaming, and decreased competition because other advertisers may not be in a position to maintain their marketing during a time when business is slowed down. So this is a lot of information, and it's only a part of what we really do. And what we use this information for is to help our clients, and more importantly, our marketing consultants help their clients with smarter marketing that's more effective, increases sales. And we answer some questions, and we want to help them figure out who is the audience that matters to them, what marketing channels should they be using, what's working, what's not. Where are they getting the website traffic? Is it quality traffic? How many page views are their sources driving? Because dealerships website pages are their silent salespeople. They're the salespeople on the website who are meeting the customers who are anonymous now with the information that formerly the person would give when somebody showed up on the lot. And then how do we attribute any of this to marketing? Can we attribute it? And how do we show return on investment? Looking at the trends, how does that inform on process? We look at, obviously we talked a little bit about why to market during a crisis, why not but cut budget. Creative changes. Some of the things that we've seen include just recently, just today, I saw an article again that the sappy messaging is people are done. They're done with COVID. They don't want to hear about it. They want to know what the offers are, how much they can save, and how they can get in a car cheaper than they were before, which requires that you change everything and quickly. You need to be very responsive to the market, responsive to what's going on in the competition, not just external stuff, but we look at internal stuff as well. Do they have a business development center? Do those people understand how to use Google Analytics and other digital analytics tools in order to better manage inbound leads? Do they, are they concerned with what their competition is doing? How do we use IHS Polk data to arm them to win against their competition in the market? Look at inventory sales patterns. A lot of the things that dealers worry about are similar to what we worry about in the advertising space. It's big ticket items, and they need to sell those big ticket items 30 days or less, or they end up paying showrooming cost on it. So we look at how fast pieces of inventory are moving, what marketing is touching those pieces of inventory, and that informs them on, maybe we put all of the new Honda CRVs out at the front of the store and make sure we have the best, most tricked out model sitting at the door when this particular customer shows up to buy. We look at website traffic patterns. All of this plays into helping them just make better decisions. We look at the audience model. Where we are today is in the comeback model versus standard operating. I don't know if we'll ever get back here. We're going to be here, and then we're going to be here again. It's going to be a different, you got to put a different level of emphasis into each of these parts of the consumer journey as you move through different phases of reopening, and as we get into the fall where there's possibility of another outbreak if that happens, knowing that you can't be in your same standard operating mindset today than if you want to continue to grow despite the circumstances. And ultimately, we would just want to add insight to the data. With Google removing or trimming down or cutting back on cookie-based tracking, buyers are now more anonymous than they've ever been. And it's more important that dealers understand what their website analytics are telling them. Looking at the top pages view can tell you what types of vehicles people most want to buy, what they want to see on the lot, what you should buy at auction or order from the OEM, what you should look for in trade. These are the sort of decisions that these metrics allow a dealer to make. And by adding that insight into the data and helping them make smarter decisions both with their business processes, and their business marketing, we end up helping them win long term, and we retain those customers and become true partners with them. So ultimately, better data, better decision making leads to better marketing, more customer traffic, more leads, more transactions, a deeper absorption rate into the service department. And that is where I'm at. If there's questions. I don't know, how do we see if there's questions?
So there is a question. Ginny, you actually On one of the slides at the beginning with IHS Pulse data, you mentioned that truck sales were up during this time. Is that the only car type that's been up, and what are the reasons for it?
Yes, so truck models are up. They've been up all year. But one of the main reasons, Ford discontinued several of their sedan models. Chevy discontinued some of their sedan models. Nissan sales have been trending down for the past few years. And the number one and number two most bought vehicle in the United States are the Ford F-150 and the Chevy Silverado. And it bounces back and forth no matter which market you're in. So because the manufacturers have ceased production on some of those things, and because consumers are more interested in trucks now, they want trucks, SUVs, and compact utility vehicles most often. And the other part of the equation that I didn't touch on is the production. So a lot of U.S. vehicles, all of U.S. vehicle parts, most of them are manufactured in China. And over the course of the past few weeks, manufacturers have started to reopen their production plants. So one of the other parts of the equation is in the coming weeks, we'll see a decline in available new inventory because manufacturers are not able to get new inventory and new parts to build inventory from China. And the other piece of it is Ford. Is it Ford and General Motors that started making the ventilators?
Yes. And the 95 masks. Yep.
Yeah, and so they had to cease production in the domestic side as well for 6 or 8 weeks in order to build ventilators. So there's a lot of factors at play. Most of it is based on, I think, manufacturers' decision to cease production of some of those smaller sedan models. But we will see a flood of used cars coming in to the market for two reasons. One, there were 30 million leases ending in 2019. So all of those leases have to be renewed. And then also just announced yesterday, Hertz Car Rental is getting out of the car sales business, also filed Chapter 11, will no longer be purchasing inventory for their fleets or reducing the inventory they purchase, and will be selling off a lot of their fleet inventory in the used car market. So same is going to happen with Enterprise and a couple others. So it's going to be a very interesting next few months for the automotive industry. Still not done shaking the tree yet. Let's see.
We have another question. It's how much of the dealer's revenue is consumer versus fleet, and has commercial/fleet seen the same decline?
I'd have to look into that answer in order to give you the right answer, but I do know based on reading the numbers, fleet is a small portion of overall domestic sales. And there's some states, specifically Michigan, oddly Kansas, North Carolina, and California, and Florida, all have heavy fleet sales. In order to tell you whether the fleet sales have been impacted, I would imagine yes, they have, because they're same problem with production and whatnot. But you do have a ton of businesses now entering a delivery market, so that there will be an increase in need for fleet vehicles because of the change in the way people are getting products and services now.
All right, so have we seen any research that measures the likelihood to come back into the showroom? Does it differ by state, and how can dealers make customers feel safe about coming back? I'll actually start on this one. Just in the past couple weeks, because I have actually been looking at trading in my car, they have been absolutely super helpful. They've reached out to me, and we've sent photos back and forth. So it is a little bit different process right now to start, but they also will set appointment times for me to come in just to test drive the vehicle when it's just me there at the dealer. And they've completely said, everything will be sanitized and all of that. So it does make me feel safe to step into a showroom, especially in the South Carolina area that I'm in. But they are taking those measures of making sure that the cars are sanitized. Even if you're doing service on your vehicle. They are offering complimentary sanitation of the vehicle before and after. You have an oil change or anything, and that technician does have to get in the vehicle and drive it around to the bay.
A lot of them are using the UV light sanitation, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we are seeing that. I know, just personal experience, it is feeling safe. Like I wouldn't hesitate to go into the dealer right now. They've also offered to bring the vehicle to me to test drive, and I was like, it's more fun. Let me get out of the house. I'll come see you. You're making sure that it's safe, okay? So.
That's exactly right. And I've seen the sentiment reiterated multiple times this week in different industry articles I've read and podcasts I've listened to. People are just ready to get out of the house. We work with a large dealer group in Kentucky, and they reopened their doors last weekend and had record sales. They had people coming in, they were busy, but at the same time, for the 6 weeks prior to that reopening, they'd been marketing the fact that they're cleaning. Every advertisement, every ad that went out on television, they launched a broadcast campaign to make sure the local community was fully aware that they were taking steps. So in order to make customers or people in your market feel safe, really need to play with, use your local media. You need to promote and market on local broadcast, because that's where most people are turning to for news and information. Utilize OTT, digital video tactics, to tell that same message. Show imagery of a clean and safe environment in all of your digital listing properties. Google My Business, change all of the photography that you have for your store and take out anything where you show people shaking hands, and replace that with imagery of elbow bumping or virtual tours. Make sure that you're broadcasting the fact that you're doing absolutely everything according to standards, and there's no reason people should be scared to come in the door.
Yeah, just letting the community know is the biggest thing, and letting them know that you're there to take care of the community is what matters.
Absolutely.
We have another one. Any idea how influential the actual dealership experience is in the decision-making process? A client of mine was trying to make sense of why sales were down in select areas when advertising, deals, etc. were similar, and though there might be something in the dealership itself. And that's in the chat, Jimmy, if you need to get back.
Yeah, so it does. The actual dealership experience is a huge part of the decision-making process. So right now, if a dealership does not have what's called a business development center, a BDC, with a staff of people who are sales people with strong sales skills, but also who understand digital marketing and how to mine digital data in order to connect the dots between them and what's going on, what they want to look at. So you have to set certain processes in place. And I know, if you have a BDC in place, you get an inbound lead. What is the next step that they take with that lead? Do they send an email? Do they make a phone call? Elaborating more in depth on what the internal sales process and training looks like. It's not just advertising, because we can get you to the door, but we can't sell the car for you. So if advertising is still going and it's steady and sales are falling, there's a couple things you can, obviously look at your organic non-paying traffic sources, look at referral traffic, but the experience inside the store is everything. And what people are seeing now with cutting the number of hours you have to sit with the F&I manager, from 4 or 3 to, being able to do it 100% online, the expectation is already there, and there's no way dealers are getting out of it. They're going to be forced now to adopt a fully digital retailing experience. And if they don't do it soon, they're going to get pushed out by others that do. I hope that answers that question enough. Let's see. I don't think that we have any other questions. I hope that this presentation was informative. It's our first one for QBIC, so we don't know if we did good or not.
I think that was great. You have a couple people saying, thank you in the chat right now. So personally, I found it very informative. I even wrote down one of the things that you got said early on. Not marketing during a downturn is like turning off water during a drought. I like that one. So I like the analogies that that study was making toward, gardening as well. So I've not been doing my own gardening, but still found it very interesting and very relatable. So
awesome. Thank you. Well, excellent. I guess we can give people a 15-minute break before the next one, unless anybody else has questions.
Yeah, maybe everyone can go grab a little bite to eat or something before the final presentation at 6. Thank you guys both so much for joining and presenting today. And if anybody has any further questions, I'm sure you guys can reach out to them on LinkedIn or any other platform. I don't know if you guys had your email on the last screen. I don't think you guys did, but.
No, I don't think I did either. I just had a smiley face.
Yeah, that's totally fine. So find them on LinkedIn, use our hashtag, keep interacting with each other, keep communicating. And yeah, thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Thank you for having us.